Okay, here's my official thing. Good morning. As chair of the tree committee, I'm declaring that an emergency exists, and I am invoking the provisions of RSA 91A:2 3B. Federal, state, and local officials have determined that gatherings of 10 or more people pose a substantial risk to our community in its continuing efforts to combat the spread of COVID-19. In concurring with their determination, I also find that this meeting is imperative to the continued operation of town government and services, which are vital to public safety. Where did I leave off? And confidence during this emergency. As such, this meeting will be conducted without a quorum of this body physically present in the same location. At this time, I also welcome members of the public accessing this meeting remotely. Even though this meeting is being conducted in a unique manner under unusual circumstances, the usual rules of conduct and decorum apply. Thank you for your patience. And next routine is to call the roll. So if you would identify yourself and then say if anybody is in the room with you. And I'll start. I'm Eileen Flockhart, and nobody's in the room with me.
Sally Ward, nobody's in the room with me.
Kevin Breen, nobody's in the room with me.
Greg Jordan, nobody is in the room with me. Yeah, I jumped in.
It's hard to know.
Kristen Murphy, no one's in the room with me.
Gwen English, no one's in the room with me.
Jay Perkins, no one's in the room with me, but I have a whole crew out beside my window.
Okay, do we get everybody? I think so. So I guess the first order of business is to take a look at the minutes. And everybody should have, and thanks to Kristen, we got another, a copy so that we wouldn't forget where we put them. Thank you, Kristen, for doing that in the agenda. I looked through the minutes and I didn't find anything that needed correction, but I don't know if anybody else might have found something.
I also looked through them and did not see anything.
Yeah, no, they look fine.
They were short this time.
Short and sweet.
Yeah.
I'd move to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Okay.
Shall we vote?
Okay, so briefly, I'd like to go through just a couple of things that we've been able to do in spite of everything life has thrown at us. We did manage to have pretty regular meetings, and we had an Arbor Day on May 21st that was socially distant with mostly town officers and assorted folks, school people. Unfortunately, no kids at the Lincoln Street School where we planted the elm tree. And we got lots of, nice support from Public Works for also mulching around some other established trees there. And so that was a nice plus. And people were able to see that from the video that Exeter TV produced for us. So that's been a godsend. When we can't have a crowd of people, we can at least, TV folks can do that for us. And then we went into some planning for the tree ordinance work that we're doing. And I know that Gwen and Sally have worked on wording for the main goals of the tree ordinance. And we kind of decided that as much as we would like to have a good solid piece of ordinance in place, that it's a big job and it involves a lot of other pieces of the puzzle. And we've moved from just tree regulations and zoning to trying to do a big tree ordinance for the whole town. And So we looked at saying, okay, let's give it a start. Then I contacted AJ Dupuy to say, is it okay if we kind of have a draft to offer for the Tree City USA reapplication and say, this is a work in progress. We're going to keep working on it until we have something that we really, because a new ordinance would have to go before the select board twice to be approved. And we sort of weren't ready for prime time, I guess is what I was trying to say. And he said, oh, God, yeah, that would be fine. That's fine. So I felt good about that. And we'll get back to a little more of the tree ordinance in a minute. And not the connection to the Lincoln Street School Green Team has still been, even though kids weren't in the building, we've still maintained a connection. And this afternoon, I'm going to meet virtually with the 2 Green Team teachers because they're writing a grant to create a pollinator garden. And so we want to try to coordinate with them. And so I found some stuff from Tree City USA on pollinator trees and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to see what we can put together and write a terrific grant, and they'll give us some kind of money to do something. And then the plan to go ahead with planting 3 trees at Lincoln Street due to the level 4 water shortage got put on hold. We had a celebration with a good turnout and distanced situation, but people brought cookies, we had cider, and talked about each one of the folks whose tree was their memorial. And it turned out to be really a lovely thing. And so now that people have kind of met each other a little bit more than they had before, when we actually plant the trees in the spring, I think it's going to be probably even better than it would have been if we just done a cold in October. So that's where things stand on that activity. And we still have very wonderful support from Stratum Circle Nursery for the cost of trees and willingness to help out and wanting to do more. So that's a local contact. We're happy to continue. And other than that, I looked at some scary budget proposals of, you'd hope we could expand money for tree work and, money for an arborist or money for, no, forget it. I don't know what the money situation is going to be for the town, but it doesn't look good. So,
Eileen?
Yeah.
I think you were talking before when you said Lincoln, I think you were referencing Park Street.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes, and an update on Lincoln Street. The contractor did, by surprise, replace just 3 of the trees. I caught the tail end of it driving by. They did it on a holiday.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if they were planted correctly. Like I said, I had no notice, no nothing. I just happened to be driving by.
God. I don't understand. See, that's the kind of thing. If a contractor is working on trees in this town, there ought to be a contact with you. I mentioned to Greg Bisson at Parks and Rec, if he's going to do some pruning or cutting in the parks, can he give the tree committee a heads up? But I just sent him that yesterday because they did prune a lot of the dead wood out of a big oak on Park Street Common.
Right.
But, it's sort of the old communication game, and it would be nice to know when this stuff happens. Jay, did they replace the trees that had those buckles around them?
Not that I'm aware of. They didn't replace the trees. Kevin and I had walked quite a while ago the whole street, and a lot of those trees, maybe 90% of them, have some issues. Yeah. And they just replaced the 3 down by the church that were visibly dead.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know, if they replaced the soil, if they took the baskets off. Buttoning up the last one. So I don't believe they're coming back. I think those are warranted starting from, I was told, the time they planted them. But
Right.
I don't think they're going to come back and do anything else. And I have my doubts on a lot of the trees up there if they're going to make it. So we'll see. Do the best we can with them.
Well, weren't the trees that were planted on Lincoln Street, some 40 trees, weren't they all supposed to be warranted for 2 years?
Yes, but they claim they're not fully dead, so they're not doing
Not
anything.
dead enough?
Yeah, well, there's bark missing, and Kevin, if you want to jump in on some of the things we saw, there's a number of issues with pretty much most of them, but they weren't dead, so they're not replacing them.
Yeah, that's a tricky one because they aren't dead, but they're just a poor quality and then don't have a long life probably ahead of them. So that's kind of where the warranty is kind of a gray area, unfortunately. They were just probably specimens that probably even shouldn't have arrived, honestly.
I agree. On another note, Eileen, I think there's a miscommunication from Stratum Circle. I don't know if you reached out to Dave. I waited to talk to you first. They sent us a late invoice for those trees for Park Street. And I haven't done anything with that yet. I emailed you yesterday that we received it, but our office is saying they've been calling here. So I think there's a miscommunication.
Well, I sent an email to Sarah at Unitil because they had agreed to pay $500 toward the trees.
Right.
And I was under the impression that the check was going to be cut and sent well before we were hoping to have a ceremony. But I have not heard back from her. So maybe I'll call her on the phone. I think email just sort of gets lost when you get that many emails at work or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you want to reach out to Dave and let him know what's going on? The problem I have is I could, where you and I tagged him in the town's name, I could certainly pay that bill.
No.
Any reimbursement would not go back into the tree account. It would go into general fund just by the way the town is
No,
structured.
I mean, between Unitil and the funds that were raised, we have enough to cover those trees. And we want to make sure that, when I talked to Dave after the event got canceled, I said, do you want this other $400 and something? He said, you can get it to me now or you get it to me in the spring. It doesn't matter.
I think his office staff, they're just chasing a
Yeah. They're doing the bookkeeping on it.
Right.
I'll take care of that, Jay.
Okay.
Don't you go,
Thank
Tracy.
you.
Eileen,
Yeah.
I have a quick question. Going back to the Lincoln Street trees.
Yeah.
And Kristen, you may be able to weigh in on this too, but does the planning department have any leverage here? If there's information coming from Jay and Kevin, Greg, you may have been part of this too, but telling us that those trees are in tough shape. Is there anything that the planning department can do to try to assure the town and us that if those trees don't make it, that they'll be replaced? I don't know how to. I mean, that's troubling that we have that many trees, and that's a pretty significant part of that update on Lincoln Street. It would be awful if that just fell on the town to have to replace them without any help from the contractor. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I believe the contract for Lincoln Street was held by Public Works. So Jay, do you know who is managing that contract?
Yeah, that's Jen Mates, but she's been out and secluded due to COVID. So it's hard to get, she can't go out on site or won't go out on site, and information is a little bit harder to get, but Learning from that, the Salem Oak Street, Park Street project upcoming will gain on that one. I'll be doing the inspection on that one and cutting. Before any cutting is done, I'll be out there with them. I walked with the engineer in charge of that, Paul Velasic. I think you all heard that there would be some tree removal of some old growth trees for a sidewalk. Well, that's not the case. After we walked it, we worked out a way to get around that. So there won't be any large tree removal on that. We can certainly stay away from it, and just requires narrowing the road just a shade, which would be good for traffic anyway.
Yeah, right.
But I think it's who's managing the project, and I wasn't privy to that. And I asked to be notified when they were going to replace them, but I'm not even sure if she was notified. They were warranted, and they had a responsibility to replace them, and they did that. But as far as responsibility to let us know when they're going to be here, fell through the cracks, and I don't know what we can really do about that.
I'm wondering if a contact to Ironwood, who did the design and the tree decisions, they weren't the contractor for putting them in, but it seemed to me that they had a pretty nice feel for what they wanted to accomplish with these trees and the whole redesign of Lincoln Street, that their reputation kind of hangs on the balance in terms of how this looks. And you look at it and say, oh, here's one of our projects. Oh, there's out of 40 trees, there's 12 that are dead and 7 that are compromised.
I think kind of the same thing happened, from just looking at the project. Jen Martell was responsible for the landscape of that. It was her design, but I believe from what I saw, they showed up 2 or 3 crews, unannounced, trailer truck, and I don't think she had enough time to really. I know she looked at one load of trees that arrived, but I don't know how good the communication was with the contractor. I know they were doing many things at the same time to wrap up.
Yeah. Well,
they did have at one time multiple crews planting trees, so it was hard to keep up.
Yeah. Well, I'd be willing to give I think the head guy at Ironwood, I spoke with at length when they had one of those charrettes about the redesign of Lincoln Street. And I would personally give him a call and say, hello, this is the new tree committee chair. We have some questions for you. And were you aware of what's happened? Or maybe the appropriate time is in the spring when it's clear that some things are really not making it. But whatever, I think, when anybody gets a contract and it's approved and they're going to get paid money to do it, and if it turns out that what they agreed to do and they're dead, it's like the trees in front of Great Bay Kids, we got no teeth to say, that's not acceptable. You can't do that. But I'll explore that a little bit, and we can all sort of keep our eyes open and figure out ways to, that's all part of this tree ordinance. We'd like to say, geez, that's not really very good. No, that's not good enough. We'd like to say it's going to cost you money if you don't do it right. And so that's down the road, but I'm itching to get there down the road, I can tell you.
Well, Lincoln Street, I don't believe there's enough retainage left to go back after them to get them to pay for all the trees if they all died.
No, but I mean, they must have a reputation as landscape designers to want to do the right thing. Maybe I'm dreaming. Am I dreaming?
Well, I don't know what exactly the contract had for inspection services from Ironwood, which I'll take a look at that if I can get a copy of that. I requested it once.
Yeah.
I know it was the trees and material were unit cost, and the landscaper that put them in was just a sub and from Massachusetts, and time is money. He just got them in the ground as fast as he could.
Yeah.
So it was, I don't think there was any inspection on that end of it when they were initially put in either.
Well, I think it's something that obviously we'll continue to be working on and talking about and being observant. And when it comes to even the Salem Street project, I'm concerned about the big elm when they start digging in the ground and making sure. And I know, Jay, you've already communicated your thoughts there, but I think I did hear from Jen that there will be a public meeting somewhere in the next, I don't know, early February, March, something like that. So we'll stay tuned for that.
Right. There is no reason to dig deep near that big elm. They can shift the utilities, but I'll be there watching too.
Okay.
And we haven't got the final design yet. And once we do, I'll see how close the utilities, the sidewalk, we're all set.
Okay.
But it's just the utilities going in the ground, how close they're going to be to it.
Okay. All right. If you want to hear some good news, you have to hear how much fun we had walking in the woods with Kevin Breen. Kevin, why don't you tell us a little bit? But it was sort of a trial run for what we hope can be a tree walk and talk kind of thing. And we thought, well, we'll try it out as some committee folks, and then maybe we'll work ahead to having Exeter TV come and film one of those, so people who can't join us in the woods to walk can have as much fun as we did the other day. So I'm going to throw it your way, Kevin, and let you talk about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I wasn't sure what to make of it either, but we were able to take a look at some good trees, some bad trees, some invasives, some hazard situations, and kind of see things in my eyes for what I see every day looking at trees that a lot of people wouldn't usually see maybe, or I see maybe different things. So I had a good time. I thought it was a good place it worked out well. There was a lot of different stuff there to look at. So I liked it.
I'm sorry I couldn't make that one. I would like to make the next one if you're planning to do that again.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe, Kevin, if you want to, give us a list of maybe 3 or 4 possible walks, and maybe it could even be something as simple as the trees of Swayze, or, the trees in any one of the parks in town, and invite, maybe because of COVID, you have to say, okay, how many people could we have, attend or join us? And so maybe there's a way to sign up. And we could work out the logistics of that. But the fact that we could videotape it and put it online, that's something that shouldn't be that hard to do, would it, Bob? I don't know if he's plugged in, but I know we talked about it with him before. So if you can come up with, maybe 3 possible locations, and, would it work in December or January, or,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no problem at all. I have a couple other spots in mind too, so I'll dig into those a little bit more.
Okay. If you can maybe just email a list of, a couple of those ideas, you send it to me and I can send it around, and we can sort of pick our favorites or something and see when we could do them. I think that would be, the thing that was interesting was that we walked around and of course, Kevin knew by looking at the bark of this tree whether it's a red oak or a white oak or a this or a that, and talked about, okay, if there's mushrooms, this is what I remember, among other things, if there's mushrooms growing on the tree, the mushrooms are eating the dead wood. Okay. So I remembered that. So we were walking in the woods the other day, my husband and I said, oh my God, look, just mushrooms. You know what they're doing? They're eating dead wood. But there were all kinds of snippets of information like that. And because you're standing there in the woods looking at it, it just stays with you. So.
Absolutely. I'll send those over to you very shortly. I'll compile my
that'd
list.
be great, Kevin.
Kevin, it may not be appropriate to have it in someone's yard, but our property at one point was an old nursery. And I think the people who owned it used to go around the East Coast kind of think in the dark of night, taking trees from people and putting them in the back of their truck. So we have some kind of unusual trees. We have a river birch that it's if it didn't branch 4 feet above chest, it would be probably the biggest river birch in the state. It's enormous, but we've got different ones and some old trees that have been hit by lightning. And I'm not bringing this up because I want service on any of these, but it's more that there's a fair bit going on on our property that might be fun to look at. And as a residential property, I don't know if it would be useful to go around and talk about different issues that might be a problem for someone who has a house on this lot. But it's a thought, and I will just throw that out there for you to consider if you're looking for another site.
I think that would be good. I think the residential side of things is very important because I think this committee will talk with a lot of people in town who want tree work done or tree removal done. And just as a good education thing, like what these trees mean for property values, for property damage, for risk assessment, sort of things like that. So I think it's important to look at a real life place like that versus a trail in the woods where it's a whole different category of things.
Mm-hmm. And we have a trail in the woods too, so we can go there as well. Yeah. But thank you.
That's sort of the educational piece of our committee, is to be able, with using the TV, to be able to provide that for people in town, which could be a big plus. Oh, I think Greg was waving his hand because he had to leave. Okay. And Gwen has to leave to go to her eye doctor.
I think it would be good in Gwen's yard or the parkway or something, and or hold off until after hunting season.
Oh yeah, that's a thought.
I was walking my dog out on QB Road a week ago, and I heard gunshots not too far away.
Okay.
And I looked, and I was wearing a brown coat. It's like,
no, not a good color, Jay. You want orange.
But that actually could be a contender someday, QB Road. I don't know if any of you have walked that, but it is the most beautiful walk.
Where is that, Jay?
It's at the end of Old Town Farm Road. It's gated.
Okay.
It connects to Newfields, and a beautiful field out there. It's really nice. It's a nice walk.
See, everybody's got these little pockets of wonderful walks, and even just introducing each other and the town to some of the possibilities is great.
Well, every time I hear the term "a walk in the woods," I think of Bill Bryson's book. Yeah. I don't know if anybody's read that, but that was probably the funniest book I've ever read.
Jay, maybe you can help me and let us in on some information about what the drought has done to trees in town and what we should be aware of for any of our trees that are recently in the ground. It's been a tough year for trees.
It's a real tough year, and it's a really good question, and we're waiting to see next spring what the recovery will be. We're still in a very severe drought right now. I know we've got some rain, but we're still in drought. So I don't know what the answer is and how they're going to come back, but I'm hoping they'll bounce back.
I had a question about the tree that is by the Tree City flag.
Yeah.
Summer Street?
Yeah. Do we have any more information about the status of that tree? It looked like it was certainly on the decline.
All of a sudden, it just took a nosedive. It was fine. I took pictures of it in September, mid-September, and by late October, it was looking seriously dead.
Yeah.
Right. There's no visible signs of insects or anything else disease that I can find. Not sure if it's going to come back. I have my doubts, but we're going to wait and see and hold on.
So I would say we would want to prioritize replacing that, given that it's right by our flag and our marker, if we can, in the spring.
Yeah.
If it's not going to come back.
And Jay, is there any way we can, virtually join budget hearings or something en route for your tree budget?
Yeah, they're online. The budget meetings are online.
Yeah.
So I can, I'll look at the schedule. There was a CIP last night, a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
But, I will let you know or email you when the next one is.
Okay.
I don't have it off the top of my head. But
Okay,
the
that would be
selectmen
good.
haven't decided yet. They're the final cut. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here.
That's okay.
But we will have a reduction in the tree budget. Unfortunately, it's right across the board. It's around $6,000, but it's every line item that I have has been reduced
Yeah.
by 10%. So hoping that gets better, but no one knows.
I think we are looking as far as spring plantings and whether there's something that happens with this Lincoln Street School Green Team project. There may be some planting in one of their little gardens, plus the ones at Park Street Common. I think that's going to be pretty much driven by the level of drought, or maybe we get a lot of snow this winter. That would be nice. To see when we can schedule those 3 trees to be planted, because they're sitting out at the Stratum Circle Nursery waiting and staying healthy out there, hopefully. But whether there's any other tree plantings planned, I think has to be determined by the level of water that's available. And so I guess we have to be really cautious about that.
I can keep you updated with where we are with the drought. We're monitoring it.
Yeah. Jay, do you think we should take the Tree City flag down during the winter so it doesn't get blown away to shreds? But I don't know. It's a pretty tough flag, I think. But.
Yeah, I think we should. It's just, wear and tear, and not a lot of people are going to see it. And especially in the storms, they're hunkering down for the winter.
And if for some reason it looks, I think we could spring for another flag. I'm sure you don't get a flag every year, but if we needed one, we could order one from Tree City.
Yeah, I'm sure we could, but I'll have it removed.
Yeah. Do you want to hang on to it in your office or somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll put it back up in the spring.
Okay. So I've been going through the Tree City USA reapplication, and a lot of things look fairly similar, so it's not too hard to. I will say this: the number of volunteer hours just zoomed up. Everybody has done a ton of stuff, and I hope they'll be impressed by the number of people and the number of volunteer hours that have happened just out of this committee here. And the thing that was interesting, and maybe, Kristen, you have a better handle on this, I had for the population of Exeter last year, something like 15,300 and something. I said, maybe I should double check that. I Googled it and I got some other 14,000 and something. And I knew that we had like 14,000 registered voters. So I'm trying to get a more accurate number of what the population is of this town, because you're supposed to have, $2 per capita of your tree budget based on population. So what's your guess, Kristen?
I don't have a guess, but I could get you. I think the state puts out a report every couple of years, so I can send you that.
Okay. I don't think that Tree City USA is going to flunk me on the form if I don't have it accurate, but I want to be in the ballpark. I did get figures from Unitil about how much their budget went toward line tree work and all that kind of stuff. So I have that information and I have Jay's information. So I have pretty much all the ingredients I need, and I can get this signed by Russ Dean as soon as they can open the town office again. Do you know anything more about that, Kristen?
I know that they're in a department head meeting right now.
Yeah, okay.
As far as I know, it was closed through Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Yeah, that was the last I heard too.
Yeah. Okay. All right, here's the question. Do we want to try to meet in December? What is everybody's thought about doing that? Or we could give you a break until January, but it might be nice to, even with a short meeting, to think about those tree walks and anything else we've been able to dig up. But I don't want to do a meeting just for the sake of doing a meeting.
I think January we would all have a better handle on, the vaccine and COVID and what's happening and any future planning. I mean, it would give us, hopefully we'll have a better sense.
Yeah. Well, how about if we do this? I mean, if Kevin can send around, and if it's okay, if Kevin sends around some information about some possible tree walks, and, we keep each other posted about stuff, is that legit? That doesn't constitute a meeting if we communicate back and forth like that, Kristen?
I don't think so. I mean, you're not making any decisions.
No. I think we'd just be sharing information and then saying, okay, we'll meet in January and take a look at what any of these things we want to move forward on.
Eileen, can you remind us when the application is due?
I think December 31st is the date. But I should be able to throw this together and, get signatures, whatever else I need, certainly by the end of November.
Do you want feedback from us on that?
I might be able to just, look at it and say, the only other thing I can think of would be, feedback again on the ordinance. If you wanted to make additional comments to that. And the way I'm going to send this to, I think AJ gets this essentially as the New Hampshire Forester, and say, here is the draft. We have some other comments. We had thoughts of, similar to other ordinances where you have an index of recommended trees and an index of don't plant these trees, please, please, and other issues like that, that we would, look down the road to attaching, but we're not there yet, so I think the basic goal kind of, vision statement that you and Gwen worked on is the kind of thing that drives the whole machine. And I think that's what he would probably be most interested in.
And did you get feedback on that draft that we might incorporate? So it's, it's
I don't have anything different except that people thought it was wonderful. But,
so there aren't any changes that you would want to.
I did. Yeah. Okay. But I might, I could, send it around one more time and say, look at it. If there's anything you think, needs to be edited or changed. And I'm sending it, with the comment that it is a draft. This is a work in progress. And so he knows that.
Okay.
But we've got time to be able to do that. And I think we'll be able to do that in ample time to get it in. So unless anybody has any other big items, I know that I think Jen Martell is looking like she's not able to be with us as often. And we might want to look at, are there some other people that we'd like to include in the committee? If you hear of somebody who would like to put their 2 cents in, like to be available. I mean, there's a lot of people like Dave Short. He says, I'll do anything, just don't make me go to committee meetings, And so there are folks like that are happy to be doing that sort of stuff, but they don't want to be on a committee. But at the same time, there's a lot of expertise in town that we might want to avail ourselves of if people are interested. So maybe just keep your eyes and ears open. If someone says, tell me about what's this tree committee? Tell me about it. I didn't know too much about it. And if we were able to relatively soon, say after hunting season, or find maybe this is a place where Swayze Parkway or Gwen's property could be the tree talk and walk, even with snow on the ground. That might spur a little interest, and someone would say, geez, I'd like to do more with that. So Kevin, if you sort of think in terms of, if we do a tree walk and talk in January or February, pick a spot where we won't get shot.
When does hunting season end?
I don't know.
Anybody know?
It'll be done before January.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, just wear orange. Hunters are pretty.
Well, that's true. Okay, so Kevin's going to work on some ideas for us. Let's go ahead and plan to meet in January. But I will let you know that the Tree City reapplication form has been sent. And I think they were pretty quick last year letting us know that we'd been approved. So we may have that information as a little Christmas gift. And I think somewhere, do I have a calendar for 2021?
You got a point, Eileen. Trees make nice Christmas gifts.
Oh, Arbor Day last year, you get those cards at Arbor Day, and a tree has been planted in a national forest for you. And I'm telling you, everybody got so excited. Unfortunately, my 6-year-old grandson said, can I visit my tree? I said, I'm not exactly sure, Maddie, where the tree is, but he's created, every time we dig around in the garden, I said, oh, there's a little maple tree. He digs it up. So he's created his own nursery.
Nice.
which is out in his backyard now. And unfortunately, they run around all over the backyard. So whether those trees survive in his nursery, we'll have to see. But, if it's for people older than 6, the planted tree for Christmas sounds like a great idea.
You get a real one and plant it outside after. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's look at January. Anybody have any druthers? To get us into maybe the second week, the week of the 11th, 12th, somewhere around there. We used to meet on Thursdays. Today's a Wednesday. Is there a day that's better for you, Kristen, in terms of work?
Thursdays are not better, but that's okay.
Thursdays are not good?
No.
Okay,
I can't meet on Thursdays.
You can?
I cannot meet on Thursdays.
Right. So let's stick with Wednesdays. That work for you, Kevin and Jay?
Most Wednesdays I can.
Okay. Let's.
The 13th, unavailable. January 13th.
Yeah. How about January 6th?
January 6th, I'm good.
What does that look like for anybody else? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Oh, January 6th. God.
2021.
2021. Oh. 2020. Heck of a year. Japers. All right, let's try for January 6th.
And we're going to do 8:30 in the morning again?
Yeah. Is that a good time? Yeah.
And we'll assume Zoom unless.
Yeah, I think I'm sure we're going to still be Zooming then.
Yeah. Till we get that old vaccine.
Yeah, right. Kristen, I was happy to see that the little they're not condos, so the houses that were built across from the gas station on Main Street, where Brad's Auto Body used to be.
69 Main. I think that's what they're called.
Right. Yeah. The elegance there. But I don't know that anybody's bought those things, but they did do some nice planting of trees and bushes and put in some grass or something. So it looks a lot cuter than Brad's Auto Body used to look. So
I think a couple of them are pending.
Oh, is that right?
I think so.
Well, we went and walked through one. It was like, oh my God.
Yes.
The price was incredible. And you have this view out your dining room window.
Of the gas station?
The gas station. I'm like, that's what I want.
What are they going for, Eileen? Are they 600,000?
Oh yeah,
upper 5, 6.
The one in the front that we looked at, which was pretty big. It was like $650,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I guess if you're selling something for $1.5 million somewhere, and you want to be able to walk to the train, and you don't care to look out your window, you're good to go. I don't know.
Or if you're trying to get out of the city.
Yeah. I'm too old to understand these things anymore.
I think the ones in the back would be nicer because
Well, the ones in the back would have a view of woods and grass and stuff. So anyhow, but at least they look like they did a decent job putting their trees in. So I kept my eyes open. But anyhow, okay, so let's, we'll plan on January 6th. I will keep you posted on the progress of our reapplication. And Kevin's going to send us some ideas for walking and talking about trees. And we're all going to give each other trees for Christmas. What kind of tree do you want, Kristen? Okay, any other questions or?
I want a black walnut.
You want a black walnut?
Yeah, I figured I'd throw it out there.
There's a nice one down on Park Street. You can walk over those black walnuts all the time.
I like those trees. Sorry.
Yeah, they are neat. They are neat. All right. Well, thank you all very much. And I'll talk to you on